Getting Real with John Natale. Today, guys, we have an amazing guest. We have Nicole Daboin from Hershey, Pennsylvania. She has just wrapped up her first year in real estate, and you're going to want to hear not only her story, but her path to success, what she has planned, and her vision for the future. Because, guys, she's someone who came into this business honestly at its hardest point, has earned commissions over $100,000 in her first year in an area she hasn't lived her entire life. She didn't just move there, she's been there for a few years. We're going to unpack her story. However, she is someone, if you were looking for a little bit of motivation as a newer agent, or even someone who's just struggling a little bit, you're going to want to hear her story and her vision and what she has planned in this industry. Nicole Daboin, welcome to Getting Real.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
So we are going to take a little dive into your history first. And we're going to talk about kind of what drove you to get into real estate, all that fun stuff, because I know you have a really cool story and I want my audience to kind of hear it too. So let's start there. Where are you from originally?
It's always a complicated question, but my husband and I and my two boys, we moved to Hershey, Pennsylvania from Alabama 6 years ago.
Beautiful. And what brought you to Hershey?
Prior to that, so what brought us to Hershey is working at Milton Hershey School as house parents. Prior to that in Alabama, my husband worked as a teacher and coach, administrator, and I worked in children's ministry, but we were looking for kind of the next step up, and we found this job that we could do together as a family and serve students that we really loved. So it brought us here to Hershey.
No, that's awesome. And you've opened my eyes a little bit about the Milton Hershey School. Could you tell the audience a little bit about what that looks like? Because I honestly, one, I didn't even know it existed, and two, like what you and your husband did and your family did is honestly remarkable. So I would love to hear and let you share a little bit more about that.
It actually is amazing. We had never heard of it either. We were like, what is this place that seems so amazing, but we've never heard of in our life? And even people who live in really close proximity to it don't know a lot about it. I'm not sure why that is, but Milton Hershey started the Hershey Company with the Hershey bar, his milk chocolate, and it took off really fast. Now, prior to that, he has a good story too. He failed a lot of times and he just kept going, kept getting back up. So he has an inspirational story as well. But after he had tons of success with the Hershey Company, him and his wife never had kids, and they decided to leave all of their wealth, all of their fortune to a trust and start the Milton Hershey School, which originally started serving orphan boys so that they would have a chance to learn real skills, have a job, and have a bright future. And now it's opened up to boys and girls, anyone and everyone. There are some qualifications. Basically, they come from hard circumstances, and they're given a chance that they wouldn't have otherwise. With a good education, a family life, everything is provided for them.
Wow.
Clothing, medical, sports, instruments, anything they want to do while they're there is provided for them.
No, it's fantastic. And so what was your role there as a house parent?
So house parents it's a full-time boarding school. So they live there. They do have breaks, but they live at the school the majority of the year. So house parents take care of the students when they're out of school. So when they're in school, they're with their teachers, principals, all of that. And the house parents, that's our off time. Otherwise, when they're out of school, you're on duty and you take care of the students, whatever they would need. Things you do for your regular or for your own children: cook dinner, teach them how to do chores, help them with their homework, take them to fun activities, show them also like family traditions, like you celebrate holidays with them and show them what family life could look like for them, give them an example of that. So that's the house parent role.
That's a remarkable undertaking, because as a parent of one, and I know you're a parent of two boys, like I couldn't imagine having to be a parent to that many other children as well, and the responsibility and sure, to a certain degree that's probably helped you in your real estate career. So what kind of drove you to transition to real estate?
So house parenting, it was 5 years that we did it, and it was a blessing for us as a family. It gave us so many good things, and I have so many good memories. But it also got to a point where we realized it was time for our family to make a change as our boys were getting older, and in so many of their own activities that we wanted to devote time to, we realized it was time for a change. I have always been interested in real estate. It's always been in my mind, like that would be a fun job. I would like that. But then I always had that voice in my head, like, well, you wouldn't be good at it. You wouldn't like it. You'd work too much. It'd take you away from your family, and no one would want to buy from you. No one would want to work from you. But when it was time to make a change,
I couldn't imagine having to be a parent to that many other children as well, and the responsibility and sure to a certain degree that's probably helped you in your real estate career. So what kind of drove you to transition to real estate? No, it makes sense. And what company did you get started with?
so I started off with Coldwell Banker, and that's where I am today. I had really essentially only two connections in real estate prior to getting my license, which was the realtor who helped me buy my house that I'm in now and my loan officer who helped me do my mortgage. And so I did interview quite a few brokerages, but I ended up going with the one that I had the one connection with, which was the agent that I knew who helped me buy my house.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so when exactly did you kind of start full time in real estate?
I got my license on October 28th, 2022, and it was on a Friday when everything like went through. I was passed, and I didn't have my official license, but I could sign up with my brokerage. And I called the associate broker that I already had developed a relationship with, and he's like, "Well, if you have time now, let's do it now." I ran to the office, signed everything I needed to sign. He put everything in the computer, and I was started. I was ready to work that weekend, but I gave it one more week, and I was hosting an open house by the next weekend.
That's awesome. And that was actually going to be my next question. What were some of the very early activities as someone, again, who's had success in their first year? What did you do in those, like, let's say the first 30 days that you thought, like, really started to drive some sort of
Yeah.
success?
So when I started doing the research about, specifically a mom in real estate who prioritizes her family, everything I kept coming across was social media. I knew that I would need to heavily leverage social media to build my business. So I started my classes online, self-paced in August, and that's actually when I started posting on social media. Just anything in my life that I could think of, which was really, really a small amount of things at first. I thought, I don't have anything interesting to share. Like, I couldn't think of anything because social media wasn't a part of my life before that, besides a random photo or two at a holiday, of me and my family. Otherwise, I didn't know how to post a story. I didn't know how to post a reel. But I just started really actually forcing myself, like every day, post something. And so then by the time I got my license, I wanted to be ready to just run with it, and I was ready to announce it. I was ready to post. I wanted everyone that I knew to know that I had my real estate license and this is the path that I'm going down. Um, so I started just posting as much as I could as soon as I got my license. And then the other thing at the same time was building relationships with the agents in my office at my brokerage. Um, Anyone who had a listing, I just started calling. I didn't even have access to the MLS when I hosted my first open house.
That's
I
awesome.
worked with my broker, my associate broker, and just found anyone in our office who had a listing. And I either called them or saw them in person and said, "Hey, I'm a new realtor. I would love to host an open house for you." And a lot of people said no, but quite a few people said yes. And so again, I went online and learned from YouTube how to host an open house. And I got advice from the people in my office as well. But I just started there. I started hosting open houses as often as I could and meeting as many agents in my office and in my area that I could.
That makes a lot of sense. So open houses, because that drives the immediate business, right? Like that's you could meet a buyer that wants to buy just individually that house, another house. You could meet a buyer that also has a house to sell. So tell me about, so let's talk late 2022, early 2023. So again, you're still at most 2, 3, 4 months into the business. What did that look like for you? Were you doing open houses most weekends, some weekends? Did you have any immediate clients kind of come in from them? What did all that look like for you?
Yeah, so I hosted my first open house the first weekend of November, and I met a family that weekend who did become buyers with me. They ended up closing on their home in June, but I just kept in touch with them every not too often, just every few weeks, maybe even a month, and I kept up with them. And when they were ready, they actually reached out to me and bought a house with me.
That's awesome.
I wanted to also say that hosting these open houses and just being in the office and connecting with other people gave me content to post about. And so the people in my sphere and the people who do see me on social media were like, "Oh, she's really doing that. Like, she's really selling real estate. Look at her. She's hosting an open house. Like, she's getting in there." Um, And then, yeah, I would say I hosted open houses about every other weekend. And then some weekends I would host two. If I got two, I would just host whatever I could. Um, and my first two transactions, I went under contract. So it must have been in the probably second, probably the second or third open house that I hosted. It was about 45 minutes away, but it was the one yes that I got that week. So I said, yes, I'll host it. And a couple walked in and I recognized the wife, but we recognized each other, but we really didn't know where we knew each other from. Turns out we knew each other from a gym in Hershey from like 2 or 3 years ago,
Oh, wow.
where we both worked out, and she worked there. And they walked in. They didn't have an agent. They wanted to buy the house that I was hosting, and in order to do it, they needed to sell their house. So in November, I went under contract with them on my first two transactions, which was listing their house and then buying the house that I was hosting.
That's a remarkable story, and the reason being is how many agents that I talk to or know that if they got that same opportunity to do an open house 45 minutes away, and we're going to talk about what drives you to success, and I already know just from that story what it is, and it's that, unrelenting, like, I need to find something to do, right? I need an opportunity. And you took the chance of, where I'd say 90% of agents may be like, you know what, that's not in my market. It's 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
It's cold out. Weather's not great. It's about to be the holidays. Let me not even do it. And if you're listening to this, right, like, I think maybe you rewind your history 2 months ago, right before the holidays, and maybe there was an opportunity and it wasn't the best listing, but you said no to it. Nicole said yes, and that drove her first two transactions. And it's not about doing an open house 7 days a week, all the time, missing out on your family, never being around. It's that opportunity that open houses, especially as a new agent, offer, because that's the most immediate, outside of paying big bucks for leads, the most immediate business you're going to get is through two things: prospecting and open houses. And Nicole's story right there about open houses, I think, and I'm just chiming in a little bit, is a powerful one because of how far it was, the time of year it was. Like, nobody buys a house in November. I'm not going to do that open house, right? Like, that's what a normal thought would be. But Nicole didn't have that thought. She saw it as an opportunity. She took that opportunity and ran with it and got two deals out of it. So that's a remarkable win. Let's kind of pivot a bit, because that's a big win. Let's talk about.
It's still shocking to me. It's still shocking to me that happened. I'm so thankful, but it's still surprising.
And that's the great part about when you open your door or open doors to opportunity in real estate. It's not what I always say is, it's not the actual act. Like, it's sometimes it is, right? It is the open house. It is the picking up the phone and calling people. But the way real estate, the universe, karma, whatever, God, Jesus, whatever you really believe in, the way it all works is when you put energy out, energy comes back. And for sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to do this open house. It's 45 minutes away. And yeah, someone who kind of loosely knows you from the gym, might have walked past you on the street corner, or she might have saw you on the, walking through downtown Hershey. She could have saw you on social media, but she came to that open house. And that was the opportunity that arose from the situation. When you're out just doing activities, you're sending mailers out, sending postcards, making phone calls, reaching out to your sphere, doing open houses. If you're doing a bunch of these activities, random stuff starts coming back to you. Your cousin calls you out of nowhere. A friend calls you out of nowhere. Someone from social media is just like, hey, John, come list my house. But you don't get any of those opportunities if you don't put the energy out, in my opinion. I think that's what drives really successful people in this business. It's driving you so far. We're going to dive into that. Before we do, though, I want to talk about, and this is a big part of getting real. I love talking about wins. I love talking about success. But all of us mess up. All of us make mistakes. Some are funnier stories. Some are a little bit harder stories. I want to know for you, Nicole, like, what is the biggest mistake you've made in real estate in a little bit over a year in this business?
Okay, so this was a really big mistake. I actually went into the wrong house for showing. And here's what happened.
This is not.
I was meeting my clients for a showing.
This is not too dissimilar from mine. So go ahead.
Okay, nice. I'm not alone. I was meeting my clients for a showing. It was a hot listing. It was in Hershey for under $300,000. So I had showings all day, back to back, overlapping. I expected a lot of people to be there. I parked where I thought it looked like the sign was, where the house was. I parked. I went up to the door. There wasn't a lockbox, but like I said, I expected people to be there all day. So I knocked on the door. and I didn't hear a response. And so I checked the doorknob and it was open. So I opened up the doorknob, I
Oh
walked
my
right
God.
in, and then someone walked around the corner and said, "What are you doing in my house?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she's like, "No, what are you doing in my house?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll step back." I was just at the doorway. I was like, "I'll step out." And I said, I introduced myself and I said, "I'm here for the showing." And she's like, "This house is not for sale."
Oh,
Like, she was mad. She was not like, "Oh, it's okay. It's the house next door." She was mad and I was scared. I was like, "Okay, I'm so
yeah.
sorry. I apologize." And I left. But I was scared she was going to call the police, or I didn't know what was going to happen.
I mean, yeah, there's, uh, I think all of us who have been in the industry long enough have, whether it's go into the wrong house or go into a house that has an alarm or like something like that scares you like that. Now, thankfully you were okay because let's be realistic that, like, you walk into the wrong house and not just like the wrong house, like the wrong person's house that doesn't have the
Right.
same viewpoint rather than just to scare you and could do something a lot worse, right? Like harmful. Obviously you learn probably pretty quick with that, like not to open a door unless like
Yeah.
that someone's gonna be on the other side that's gonna welcome you.
I should have known when there wasn't a lockbox, but yeah, you learn from those mistakes,
You
obviously.
absolutely do. And so like I have so many. I've been doing this 16 years. So but one of my early mistakes was I went into a house that I thought was empty, and they had some like very little furniture. And this is before, like, if you've heard my content, like I talk about the fridge test, where you want your home to show like people have to look in your fridge to see if you really live there or not. Like you don't want personalization, you want enough furniture that looks like nice, but not like overly cluttered or anything. And so this is well before that. This is like one of my first months showing houses. I was 19 years old showing a house, and I just didn't even think anything of it. But we were showing the house. I walked through downstairs, again, very very little there. We went upstairs, didn't really hear anything, and then I went to go show them the master bathroom, and you can probably guess where the story is going. I open the door, and there's a woman in the shower who screams,
Oh my
freaks
god.
out. Luckily, I mean, for me, like, luckily for my sake, like, the clients were the first ones in. Like, I kind of just opened the door and let them walk past me. And
Go right
oh
ahead.
my, that was a mistake. And then I learned. I always, especially if like a bathroom or a bedroom door, right? Because there's always, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but like, you'll go into someone who has like teenage kids. They don't even tell you like their kids are still sleeping upstairs, like someone's in the bed upstairs. Like you're going to show a house, and then you walk in, and like some teenage kid is just like, "What the hell are you doing in my room?" Your parents couldn't have told me.
Right.
Like, so I always knock. Like, if unless I'm in a totally vacant house, I will always like knock on a door, knock on a bathroom door because of that one time 15, almost 16 years ago that happened. So
Yeah, it's
you
crazy.
make mistakes. And that's, it's a funny one, when you recall it, but I'm sure you learned a lot in terms of, making sure there's a lockbox, make sure you're at the right house, like double check the street number, the listing,
The
all of it.
address, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that it could have been a lot worse. But I'm sure,
Right.
like, if it was in like if the sign was in a confusing place, it was that hot of a listing. I could see where maybe they just got kind of bothered. Maybe someone else has come to their door before, and like maybe not they didn't walk in,
Right.
but maybe they've had a few people knock thinking it was the house, and they just got
Yeah.
bothered by it. All right, so Nicole, you've done, I wouldn't say the impossible, but the improbable of coming in this industry at one of its hardest times. Again, having that success, making over 100,000 in commission in your first year, which is, a remarkable feat for someone in their first year in business. And also, in Hershey, the price points are good, but they're not even what they are where we are in New Jersey. It's not
Yes.
California. It's not like every house is 800,000, $1 million, 1.5 million. So you've done a good amount of transactions. You built some steadiness into your business. You've gone from a brand new agent to you're wrapping up this first year, actually partnering with an agent and opening a team. Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful. I mean, I attribute it to saying yes, right? Saying yes to any opportunity that comes my way and focusing on building relationships, not only with, you know, people who could potentially be clients, but the relationships I've built with agents at my brokerage and in my area from other brokerages have provided me with so many opportunities. And that's what led me to being able to become a team leader in my second year of real estate. So I'm so thankful for that.
That it's an amazing story. Let's unpack that a little bit. What do you kind of attribute, or what drives you for success?
I mean, I feel like it's hard to really articulate, but I think it all comes down to wanting to provide a good life for my family, my two boys, wanting to provide for them better than what I had growing up, right? I feel like I just want to, well, my goal was to get to the point where I'm not struggling, right? Not worrying about money, not being stressed over money all the time. And I can really say, check mark, I've gotten to that point and I'm so thankful. And now my boys are getting older, so there's new, goals on the horizon, but that's really what drives me. But, I there's all kinds of ways to make money, but I couldn't do a job or a career that I wasn't serving people. That's just in my heart. That's who I am. That's who I've always been. That's what my jobs have always been focused around. So being able to serve people, families, help them through such a big time in their life, but also it's a way for me to make, a good living, a good income for my family. It's the perfect combination.
Oh, that's what I've always loved about real estate as well. Many who have lasting careers in it, it's usually not a interior thing, like an ego thing that drives them, because this business does get very stressful. It's time consuming, but at the same time, it's the only career. And I always say this, I think I said on the first episode of this podcast, it is the only career that you can make rock star athlete type money, especially over the life of your career, right? I'm not talking about any 1 year. You can, maybe some agents can make the 5-10 million, dollars per year. Actual income. I'm not talking about Fugazi team income. However, over the lifetime, you're talking about if you make, 100, 200, 300, 400, $500,000 a year for 20 years, you're going to make more than the majority of athletes or rock stars or anything will make in their entire career as well. And that's a powerful thing. And then at the same time, you can also leverage it to have time with your family. Like there's no boss on top of you saying, "Hey, you need to be in my office Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever that looks like. Come in on a Saturday." Yes, you have to work and you have to treat this as that type of job to a certain degree, especially early on, but there's nothing that is a requirement of you. So if you have to do something, you have to take your kid to the doctor, you have to, you want to go, be a school reader, you want to go to a sports game, you want to, be there for pre-prom, wherever your kid is in life, you get to be there for it no matter what, because you're in control of your time. So that's what I've always loved about real estate. It's cool that you kind of share that feeling towards it as well, because it does help. But I talk to a lot of people where you could tell like their next mission is the nicest car, or it's a bigger, much bigger house, or it's a second house, and those things can drive you to a certain degree. But it's the future that really gives you that lasting career in this. That's what I've always seen.
Yeah, I think it's all of that you just said is amazing, and it's why I got into real estate. I needed the flexibility to prioritize my family, and that's exactly what it's given me. It's actually, I feel like I'm still kind of transitioning to it though, because I got my license when I was 37, 38, and so for my entire adult life, I worked a W-2 job where they told me when to be there. Even when I worked part-time, I worked under someone else's management, someone else's vision, and I did what they told me to do. So it's actually, I feel like I'm still kind of getting used to it. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something you have to adjust to. But you found, well, let's actually talk about it, because I know you found success from it. Like, what does your day look like, right? Like, that's the question I always get. And I'm someone who is ridiculously disciplined when it comes to like my time. You know this as well as anyone. But share, like, what does Nicole's day look like? A typical day in Nicole's life now, about to be running a team. When this podcast comes out, you will be the official team leader of that group. But share with me.
Well, what I say, one of the things I love about real estate is that every day is different. And I feel like that's true. Every day is completely different. And I love that. I would be incredibly bored with just a job where I did the same thing every single day. I don't think I could handle it. But on a typical weekday, during the school year, I get up and I get my boys ready for school, and one's in middle school, one's in elementary school. So that whole process is about 2 hours to get them each up and to their schools at different times. And then as soon as they go, I try to take care of a few things around my house to just have some peace, like things are at least tidied, in order. Some laundry's going. I kind of take care of all those things. And then I feel like I'm in work mode, right? I try to take advantage of the hours that my boys are in school as much as possible. So at that point, I usually try to get into my emails, social media, checking comments, checking, just checking in on everything in that regard. Of course, looking at my calendar. Typically, I make a plan the night before with my time boxing of what I'm going to do and how I'm going to spend my time. But sometimes I do it in the morning, just depending. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it looks like. After that, it's always different, right? I could be at my house for hours just working on computer, admin, social media type of things, or I could have appointments early. I like to meet people for lunch, whether it's potential clients, friends, other agents. Yeah, and typically in the evenings, I'm home. Most evenings and I make it a priority to be home when my kids get off the bus. So one of them gets off the bus at 3 and one of them gets off at 4. So I almost always am back home by that time. And, I'll continue working on things while they get home and kind of do their thing. But in the evenings, I'm typically home and available for their sports and activities. Every now and then I have a showing or, an event to go to. And that's where, thankfully I have a supportive partner and my husband is home and available for them at those times. But the majority of the time, I'm home in the evenings and, done with work. So.
Well, it's an awesome thing, and that's what the important part to unpack for me when I'm listening to that. If I'm a new agent, there is the first part of your day. After the kids are off to school, after like once you're ready to have you time, if you want to call it that. It's into whether it's social media or it's reaching out to people, checking your schedule, getting back to emails, like some of the admin stuff. But it's also the time for you to be working on your business, right? Like how are you going to grow
Mhm.
this? Like, it's not like automatically just like response mode. It's also, and I know this is when you do a lot of TikTok lives, which we're going to talk about your social media strategy, and you start to just be very proactive about your business. And that's important because if you're always in response mode, it's very hard to really grow anything like you've grown in just a year. But that's really cool. So let's dive into social. Obviously, you started even before you were in the industry, not necessarily with direct real estate stuff, but you were starting to get used to the platforms. You've posted pretty darn consistently ever since you started. Let's do the first big question. Does social media itself, like have you gotten any business, whether it's from, people that just see your social media, strangers, or you're using it to leverage your sphere, have you gotten business from social media?
Yes, absolutely. I spent last night until about 10:30 at night writing an offer for a client that I met on TikTok. So, hopefully we'll get this one and they'll close in February. But if not, we're going to continue the search until we find them a home. But yeah, I've been keeping track of all of my closed transactions and I can attribute a lot of them back to social media, whether it was someone I met through a friend of a friend on social media, or it was someone in my sphere. But that's how I nurtured my sphere and, built that relationship. And they were able to trust me, a new agent, with their real estate transaction because they saw on through my social media what I was doing and how I do my work. So
Yeah, and you do a phenomenal job with all different types of content. What are the platforms that speak to you most right now?
TikTok and Instagram. I would say TikTok and Instagram. TikTok was harder for me to get into. I really had to push myself quite a few times until I finally just enjoyed being on the platform and understood and enjoyed posting content. Came much more natural. I enjoyed being on the platform, scrolling and, interacting with stories. And so it was a little bit easier to get used to posting there and doing well there. And it automatically posts to Facebook. So those are one and the same really for me. TikTok was harder.
That's a whole new
I'm an
beast.
older millennial. I don't know if that's why, but yeah, it's completely different. But of all the people, like I follow a lot of real estate agents on YouTube and they teach, how they do this industry, both as a mom or just as people who really leverage social media. And I just kept hearing it TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, no, and obviously, especially if you're listening to this, you probably found me on TikTok, to be realistic, because that's where I've put most of my content, most of my energy the last 6 7 months, the last half of this year, and now Instagram though has a great avenue, especially if you've built up a good amount of followings, which you do have a pretty decent following for someone that hasn't been on Instagram as a real estate professional for 10 years or 12 years since it started, right? You're doing a lot of local content. What do you see that's different between the platforms?
Yeah, I feel like Instagram is a lot more localized and I connect with a lot more people who are in my area or friends of friends or connections of a connection. And TikTok really seems to have more of a national reach. I get people from all over interacting in different ways. So I guess that feels like the biggest difference. And I would say Instagram, I feel a little bit more of the pressure, for lack of a better word, to be professional and to be, to show up in a certain way, even though I do feel like I'm myself, but it just has that feel about it on Instagram. TikTok, I feel a lot more of the freedom to be funny, to make a mistake, to just throw something out there and try it and see how it goes. And that's, I think, part of the fun of TikTok.
No, I agree. What is your postings like? How often do you try to post on Instagram?
It ebbs and flows at different times. And I've had, as those pushes where, all right, for this amount of days, I'm going to post this amount of time, once or twice a day, whatever it may be. Right now, I'm at once a day for
Mm-hmm.
reels or posts. Stories have become very easy and natural to me. They weren't at first. It was a learned skill. I can't tell you how many people have said, well, it's just so natural for you. Like you're just
Yeah.
natural. But what I tell people is it's a learned skill. I didn't know how to do it. I taught myself, through resources online. And I really forced myself to do it. I wasn't used to getting on camera and talking. And like I said, I didn't think I had anything interesting to even share about in my life or who would even want to hear about it. But so it's a learned skill. But at this point, it has become easy for me to think about what to post and to get on and post multiple stories per day. And that's where I get a lot of, daily, just continual interaction, people that you build those relationships with over time.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest part of Instagram. I think even the CEO came out recently and said, we're not really about like the actual post. We're about shareable content. That's why like the amount of shares you have on Reels is more important than actual like likes or even comments, which is the different, it's totally different on TikTok. And the stories is where you kind of got to live and give those behind the scenes to your actual posts. And I think that's what you do a brilliant job at, right? Like your stories, and we'll drop your socials in the description for this. We'll drop them at the end of the episode. But one thing you'll notice with Nicole is she really gives you that behind the scenes peek of not just real estate, but her life and what that really looks like. And I think that's what draws people in because we all know that people in real estate work with who they like and who they trust and who they know. And if you can get people to like you, trust you, and know you through social media, they will work with you in one fashion or another. Whether it's them immediately, refer you to a friend, refer you to a family member, a work colleague, it doesn't matter. And that's what Nicole has really done in her first year, especially through social. She's done other things to get business. It's not just 100% social media. It's not just, running around chasing Zillow buyers. Like it is, she has built an authentic business that even from where it is now, which is in its early stages, can really be something that grows to something really, really huge and sustainable because she's doing it in an authentic fashion. That's what I love about everything I followed since we kind of connected, I think over the summer, late summer. I think you had one video that I saw. I think I'd seen you have one more like viral open house video from earlier in the year of you setting up the open house. But there was a video where you went to a restaurant in downtown Hershey that I had gone to when with our like son's first vacation. And I was like, oh, I love that restaurant. It's actually really good. And that's what drew me in. And your content, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram, it always hits. And you've done a really good job growing there in an age where it's not easy to pick up 1,000 followers in a year on Instagram. Not at all. Even on TikTok, growing like over 2,000 followers in a year is not easy. The majority of people can't do that. So you've grown and you have a specific mission on each platform, and it's really cool to see. So let's kind of pivot to what you're doing now. I want to share, or I want you to share a little bit about how you've gone from brand new agent to now you're opening a team. Like that's a remarkable thing. What does that team look like? How did it get started? And, what are your plans with it for 2024?
Yeah, it's amazing, and I'm so excited to launch our team officially on January 1st. And I'm partnering with an amazing agent that I've come to know over the past probably about 6 months. And again, that opportunity came from just saying yes. Like we just happened to meet. From she had a listing and I wrote an offer on it, and my offer did not get chosen, but she actually just said she noticed my offer was really, really well written, and I had attention to detail at every part. And she realized, oh, we're at the same brokerage because we never saw each other in the
Hmm.
office. Um, a lot of a lot of agents don't work in the office anymore. She's like, hey, do you want to just meet up sometime? And I'm like, well, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Anytime someone has said that to me, whether they're from another brokerage, whether they're trying to recruit me, whether they're just want to hang out, the answer is yes. If I can fit it in, the answer is yes. So we met, and right away we clicked. You can tell when you click with someone. We're moms, our kids are around the same age. The biggest difference though is she's been in real estate for almost 17 years.
Wow.
So she has exactly what I'm lacking, which is the years of experience that you can only get over time.
Hmm.
I would not have the opportunity to lead a team as a 1 year agent without her partnership. So I'm so thankful for that. So January 1st, it's going to be her and I. We're the Fugate and Daboin group with Coldwell Banker. But over this next year, we have high goals of adding a lot of team members. So we have plans. We're excited.
Yeah, I love that. And as the new agent, what are you bringing to the table? Or the newer agent? You're not a new agent at this point. You've done
Yeah.
really well in your first year. You're newer, but what are you bringing to the table in that arrangement?
Well, number one, we both believe that two are better than one, right? If we put our forces together, we can accomplish more, and we can be there to support each other, hold each other accountable. Those are the things that we clicked on and realized that we wanted, in our real estate career. But also, I bring the social media side of it, the technology side of it. Um, Christy is 17 years in, and she runs solely off of referrals, and she could very easily sit back and just run her business pretty effortlessly off of those referrals. But another way that her and I align is we dream big and we think big and we reach for more, and we don't really just settle. We want to keep going for it. So I bring the social media aspect, kind of the newer marketing techniques, and with her combined experience and my kind of newer, fresher, innovative real estate ways of running my business, we're putting those two forces together. So
Yeah, I love that idea. And what do you kind of foresee 2024 being like for you?
I think about it, and like I said, I do dream big. I can see, we've been talking about next year at Christmas what it's going to look like. We envision ourselves having a team Christmas celebration party with not just one, not just two, additional agents on our team, but maybe four, maybe five, maybe six. Like we can maybe 10. I don't know. We can see it moving big. We're ready to get to that next step. So hopefully it won't be too long till we're actually adding people um, to our team. But so I see it as just a continuing of what I've done this past year, which is leveraging my business through social media, through open houses, but now adding in this other layer of leading a team and bringing people into what I'm doing. I'm all about collaboration over competition. Um, and I've met quite a few agents who are like-minded like that in my area, but I've also met quite a few who are the opposite of that.
Oh yeah.
And they're those sharks, and they want to protect their territory, and they're not into collaborating. But I think we can do better together, and treating each other with respect and collaborating is, how Christy and I both like to run our business. So
Yeah, and I think there's a few really, really powerful themes that's coming from this interview. It's your number one, your ability to just say yes to opportunity. Never shutting the door on something before it comes your way. Even how you and I met was very much that way. You just said yes to an opportunity. And I've noticed that from working with you. Like that is something that is remarkable about you. Is it's not like 100% like just like, oh, I'm gonna say yes to say yes because I don't have any control. It's if there's an opportunity, Nicole is going to think about it. And if there's like a realistic opportunity for something positive to happen in her life, she's going to say yes. It doesn't, even down to meeting just other agents. Like, how many of us in the industry like shun like other agents, or like if someone asks us for a cup of coffee and we're like, like what am I going to get out of this? Like, why are you recruiting me? Like, are you trying to talk to me? Like, what's going on? Where Nicole just kind of opens the door and says, you know what? If I just meet someone, maybe I'll get an idea. Maybe I'll figure something else out. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. So let me just say yes. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
The collaboration piece too is remarkable in of itself, and that goes with the just say yes. And my next question is, and before we go into like where you ultimately like see your career going, what are we doing this year to keep growing and succeeding now? Like, what are we doing for business now that like you've had your great first year? You could probably, if you haven't already, we talked about this, like go like like, all right, I can do this. I can make money, right? I can at least do that. I mean, I know it's a struggle for a lot when they start. It's like I can't even get my first deal together. I can't get my first 3 deals together. You've done that. What is like your activities that's going to drive business for 2024 in terms of real estate sales, right? Not just growing the team, but like how are we going to get business this year?
Well, I plan on continuing doing what I'm doing and adding in a whole bunch more to it to see where it will go. So, in terms of social media, I'm going to continue posting daily. I may give myself some pushes where I post multiple times a day, to just reach as many people as I can. And in addition to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I'm definitely adding YouTube. That's been on my to-do list for quite a while, and the beginning of 2024 is it. There's no more excuses. There's no more reason not to do it. So I'm adding that in. And then, once our team gets going and we collaborate in that way, we really want to focus on client events, client appreciation, events and activities. We also plan on sending out some mailers and doing some advertising in our area, since Christy's name is very well known, and me coming in and coming together and showing really our personality and how we do business and our passion for real estate and for life, we want to kind of like sprinkle that around our area so people can really see what we're doing. So that's what we're planning on doing for business next year. Yeah, just continue what I'm doing and add in and see what works.
Yeah, I love that. Trial and error is the best, and I think all the things that you guys are planning are going to work really well. Tell me a little bit about your market of itself. So if a lot of people hear of Hershey, they might know of like Hershey Park, which is an amusement park, or Hershey Chocolate, right? How big of a market is it, per se? Like, how many towns is in that area? Who's like mostly the people moving there, moving around the area? Is it mostly just local people staying put? Is it, people from other states coming in? Tell me a little bit about your market.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hershey is a small town, which I actually really love about it. You can tell from my content, or if you meet me and talk to me, I love living in Hershey.
Yeah,
It's
you can
very
tell.
fun, and I really appreciate. Yeah, you can tell. I really appreciate all that it has to offer, and I think that's because I have lived in so many places already. I can appreciate all the good things that Hershey offers as someone, to live here, not just to visit. I've lived in Missouri, Florida, Alabama, Illinois, and Pennsylvania. Like, I have a lot to compare,
Yeah.
and every place has their pros and cons. But I love Hershey. It's a small town, but it's big enough that we have everything that we need right here or close by, if you want to go closer. So Hershey itself is only about like 10,000, a population of 10,000. Of course, we have tourists coming regularly, but really, I consider my market central Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So that's Hershey, Hummelstown, Harrisburg, Palmyra, Anvil, even Lebanon, and even into Lancaster County, and York County. It kind of spreads away. I prefer to stay within an hour of Hershey, but for the right opportunity, I'll go a little farther.
Yeah, no, and it's such a beautiful area of Pennsylvania. Just from visiting there, I also have family in Lancaster, and it's I feel like most towns have that small town feel. A lot of just like hardworking Americans. Like, I don't know, it's a great place to live, not necessarily just visit. Are you seeing the market change at all? Are you seeing it pick up as and we're filming this at the very end of 2023. It's about to be the new year. in a couple days. What are you seeing in your market?
Yeah, I feel like into fall and the time where interest rates were really getting into the eights, that's when we were seeing the days on market really slow down. We were seeing homes being listed for a lot longer, and that's when we saw a lot of price reductions. So I feel like some correction was happening during that time. But now, even with the small amount that interest rates have gone back down, there's already a pickup, and I expected to be very slow during the holiday season and have this time working less with clients, but it has not slowed down, and I'm incredibly thankful for that. But I have a listing. I have quite a few buyers that I'm working with. It hasn't slowed down since I think, those interest rates have come down. People are willing to sell. People are, wanting to buy. And I think it could get a little crazy, come spring with those interest rates continuing to decline and people are going to be ready to sell and make a move. So I'm really excited. And that's why I've spent this fall, this winter, and continuing into early 2024 doing everything that I can, working on my business and being ready for hopefully a little bit of a crazy market in spring and summer.
I love that. That's, I have a podcast going out today about my outlook for 2024. It's very similar. I think, we're not necessarily going back to 2021. The average American wallet is not what it was in 2021. In 2021, Americans themselves had a lot of the trillions of dollars in cash. And as of October and November of this year, all of it has been spent. So the average American can't just like throw 100,000 over the asking. It's not going to be like crazy like that. But I think for us in the industry, when rates come down, a lot of that inventory that's locked in at 3% now gets opened up. And for us, that means transactions open up. And that's how we make money. It's one of the most biggest misconceptions about our business is whether the price goes down, up, doesn't really matter to us. What matters to us is people moving. And this year, a lot of people have not moved. And that's why it's remarkable and why I wanted you to be the first guest on the podcast is because you've done it as a brand new agent in your first year and figured it out. And I think that's part of, and we've talked about this, like you almost put blinders on, right? You don't know any different. This is a real estate market. I'm Nicole. I live in Hershey. I have a husband. I have 2 boys, and I want to help provide. Whether the market's great, the market's not great, it doesn't really matter to someone like you because you have blinders on and you just want to succeed. So I think it's really cool what you've done. What is something, and this is a question, again, part of the getting real, what scares you about a career in real estate, looking out over the next few years or just like over an entire career? Like what scares you about it?
I feel like it's got to be, living on those commissions. Like you don't know for sure when your next paycheck's going to be. Even if you have a closing that you think is going to happen, I always say don't count your chickens before they hatch. Like, of course, don't spend that money before you get it. And, I can kind of plan and think about it coming at that time, but I don't make a plan I don't spend that money until I get it. And not knowing for sure how many transactions I'm going to have this year, how many I'm going to have next year, what my business is going to look like in 5 to 10 years, even though I have a big vision for it. And honestly, just like this first year, I knew I was going to succeed because I put my all into it and I decided that I would, right? And I did put those blinders on. I didn't worry about what the market was like, what the interest rates are like, because I knew that every day people are still buying and selling real estate. They have to, right? Some, if they don't have to, that, they're going to take a step back, but people still have to. So, my share of the market is there. So that's why I never really worried about the condition of the market, and what was going on with interest rates and the economy and all those different things. But yeah, that's what scares me. I still get nervous. After closing, I'm like, okay, sometimes I have one pending, sometimes I don't. And I kind of freak out a little bit, but that drives me too, right? I'm just going to keep working. I've never once had that, all right, I got this commission, I'm going to spend it, I'm going to take a break, I've never had that. I'm always planning for the future.
Yeah.
So.
And would you say like, because I know this is something that we're working on, is building out different revenue streams in the real estate industry and, with what you're building in social media. Is that something you're planning?
Absolutely. Yeah. As soon as possible. And it's for sure something I see, like over a decade or more when I'm in like right now, I'm willing to grind. I'm willing to put so many hours into it, even though I work my schedule around my boys. I've never added it up or thought about how many hours I work per week, but I'll work late at night. I'll work early in the morning. I'll work at whatever time I need to. I'm willing to put in that work, but I don't want to do that forever, right?
Yep.
Like I envision in my hoping to retire in my 50s, having some systems in place that just run, having a team that runs, having these other streams of income that I've put into place, that I put into the work, so that I don't have to work this many hours this hard
Yeah.
forever.
Willing to do whatever it takes early on. No matter, it doesn't matter about age. It's just early on in your career in real estate is super important. And the great thing about it is, many industries, when you really think about it, you're going to work somewhere for 30, 40, possibly even 50 years, and then you're going to be able to relax and retire. And for 40 years, you're going to go to somewhere from 9 to 5, and that's going to be your job. Where in real estate, I say it really takes, if I look at my career, even though I've been doing this 15, 16 years, it wasn't until like 7 or 8 years ago that I really, had an epiphany of sorts. I don't know if it was like at the time, like a quarter life crisis that I had. Like, is this enough? Like, I need to figure my stuff out, and really looked at this like a business and how I can grow it. And from that point, 7, 8 years ago to where I am now, and again, not that if anything, my foot is more on the gas pedal this year because I see the opportunities that are arising as the market's gotten more difficult, especially here locally. But it takes some time, but it doesn't take forever. Like after 3 or 4 years of like really doing, I wouldn't say hard work, but like smart work, using social media, getting out in front of people that could potentially buy or sell houses, say yes to every opportunity. You could be in a great position where like after a year, you're already partnering with someone to run a team. And I know already, because I do have that vision, like you're going to have a very successful 2024. And I could see by the end of 2025 where, again, the foot doesn't come off the pedal, the foot stays on the pedal, but maybe you change directions a little bit. And you're able to not put so much energy into the late nights working on just like, writing up contracts. You're putting energy into like, okay, we're going from 20 to 50 agents this year. And my income's going from Y to Y plus, multiple 6 figures. And all this great stuff that happens in a very short period of time. And you're definitely a remarkable testament to that, a remarkable story so far. I'm excited to see where you're going to go. And so what is one, I don't know if it's one thing or just one challenge. Everyone believes, especially on the outside, I think one of the biggest challenges to a certain degree is everyone thinks real estate is pretty easy. You just go in, you open doors, and we've talked specifically about your success as a new agent and what's driven that new success. What have been the challenges to you? Whether it's, a mindset thing, whether it's people not believing in you, what do you kind of see as like your biggest challenge for this first year when you look back at 2023?
I'm thinking my biggest challenge would really be to not doubt myself and not give up. Even though I went into it with giving up was not an option, and it really never was, but there were definitely those hard days and those hard times where I was very overwhelmed, and it wasn't easy. I had to keep pushing, right? I didn't give myself another option, but if I had that as an option, I mean, I would have given up because it's not easy. And I also have had my share of naysayers and people who have opinions. One particular person at the very beginning of my career, I let them know what my goal was, my financial goal for my first year in real estate. And they said to me, that's not realistic.
Oof.
That won't happen. You won't do that in your first year. Maybe that was a little extra driving force that I needed because I accomplished the exact goal that I said I would, that person said I couldn't.
Yeah. Did you, I hope you sent him, no matter who it is, I hope you sent him that final check that was like, you know what, I did do this. What was your pay like this year? And you've done it, and yeah, it isn't easy and it is hard and you doubt yourself at times. But I know you've done it mostly with a smile on your face. You've done it while being a great mom, a great wife, all those fantastic things about you that aren't real estate related. But you've somehow, no one's perfect. No one in this life is perfect. But you've done a great job of putting it all together. And I have 2 questions left for you. The first one is, what is the one piece of advice? Just one. You only get one. You can't give them 10 or 15 things. One piece of advice to the brand new agent. They just started in December or November or October, like you did, of 2023, so they could be where you are when we sit at the end of 24?
I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is make your mind up and do it. Don't let anything hold you back. When I was trying to decide if I wanted to get into the real estate industry, I was doing my research. And then, once I got to the point where I made the decision, and of course I worked with my husband as well to kind of talk about what that would look like, I said to him, if I do this, which I'm almost there of making my decision. If I do this, I'm going to give it 100%. This is going to be my career. I'm going to be successful and I'm going to make a lot of money. And there were no other options. I said, I'm not going to try it out, see how it goes, do this on the side, do this, do that. I'm going to give it 100% and I'm going to be successful. So I would say, don't let anything else hold you back. If you want to do it, make up your mind and do it. Don't let anything hold you back.
I love that. That's an amazing answer. And I think that's a remarkable story so far this year. What is, not only for one piece of advice for a brand new agent, but because you've really done so well creating content, so well with social media, especially to drive your business, what's one piece of advice you'd have for either someone just starting to create content or someone who's been doing it? Maybe they haven't done it as consistently, or they've been trying to be consistent and it's just not taking off yet. They might be doubting themselves, like, is this actually going to work? What's your one piece of advice if you're talking directly to that person?
Yeah, I would also say just do it and don't let anything hold you back, because everyone, including me, and a lot of people do not believe me, that it was hard for me to start posting videos and to put myself out there. You really have to get over yourself. You have to get out of your head, focus on the facts, and, get your objective accomplished. Because have I posted videos where like later I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. Like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? What are people going to think about me? But anytime I have those thoughts, I really just gather them up and throw them away. I don't care. I know that being consistent on social media and putting myself out there is going to get me to where I need to be. So I'm just going to do it. But it's not easy. It was hard. A lot of people think it just comes naturally, but I would say everyone has those thoughts in their head of like, you sound stupid. People are going to make fun of you. You're not doing a good job at this. This video stinks. Like, everyone has those and you have to get over it.
I totally agree. And it's something I hear a lot, is a lot of people tell me like, oh, John, you're so, but like, you're you. That's why you do so well with it. Like, it's natural to you. Like, you're amazing on camera. And I'm like, one, have you like honestly taken a look at me? Like, I'm not much to look at, like, if we're being honest. And number two, like, I only can do this because I've done it. I've done the reps. Like, if you watch my first video I ever made in like 2018, standing in the dining room of my 1-bedroom apartment, to what I'm doing now, it's totally different, right? So I think one of the issues with social media, and I talk about this a lot, is we look at people even like yourself, or people who have, hundreds of thousands, millions of followers, and we think, okay, because they went viral one time or they have all this following, like, we should be just as entertaining as those people. And you just have to start somewhere. And I just recently put up a video of yours, and it wasn't that the video you put up a year ago was bad. It wasn't. It was actually a great video. But just like the quality of it, the cuts, the music, everything, like if you look at that video to what you're doing now, is completely different. That's 1 year.
Yeah.
But you don't do that by not putting in the probably the 300 to 500 reps you've put in between that one video and what you're doing now. And I think what you just said is so important.
I really believe so. Sorry, we keep
That's
talking
okay.
over ourselves. I think there's one little gap. I believe social media is it's the quantity leads to the quality. That's not true for everything in life, but for social media and for video marketing, it is. The quantity leads to the quality that you want.
All right, last question, Nicole. And it's an important one for Getting Real. It's a great place to end up, and I think it's a powerful one. And, I want you to answer this to the best of your ability if you can. You get to meet your 10-year-old self. So I want to picture this. You're, whether it's at a park, wherever you grew up, you get to walk in and sit down and meet 10-year-old Nicole. What is the one thing or piece of advice? What is your statement to that little girl right there wherever you meet her?
So, that's hard to do for, I think, most people, right? To look back on your life and talk to yourself at that point in time. But I guess what sentence comes to mind is, it's okay. You did it. Like, you did it. You're gonna do it. There's gonna be stress. There's gonna be hard times. You're gonna struggle for a long time, but you make it. You make it out on the other side. You did it. You accomplished your goals. So don't worry. It's gonna be okay.
I love that. That's amazing. And where can people follow you?
You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and coming soon YouTube.
Awesome. And you are in Hershey, PA, so if you ever have a referral, you need a great agent, Nicole is your resource. She's doing amazing things out there. I'm excited to see where your career grows because I know this is just the beginning for you.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk today and to go through all this. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's been great.